Do you ever find yourself scrolling through memes or cleaning the kitchen when you know you should be working on that important project? You tell yourself just 5 more minutes, and suddenly hours have slipped away. You're not alone. Procrastination is a universal human experience, and today we're going to explore why your brain seems wired to delay the things that matter most. In this video, you'll discover the hidden neural circuits that steer you toward short-term pleasures and away from long-term goals. And you'll learn how to rewire your mind to break free from the procrastination trap. By the end of this toolkit session, you'll have practical strategies grounded in neuroscience and psychology to regain control of your focus and transform hesitation into action. Let's unlock the mind behind procrastination and give you the keys to start living the life you truly intend. Imagine your brain as a tug of war between two teams. On one side, a sprinting impulse driven by the limbic system, craving immediate pleasure. On the other, a steady but sometimes sluggish executive team in your prefrontal cortex, focused on long-term goals. When you decide to binge a new series instead of writing that report, you're witnessing this neural showdown. Scientists call procrastination a battle of temporal discounting. Your brain assigns far greater value to rewards you can grab right now, like scrolling social media, than to benefits that lie weeks or months ahead, such as career growth or personal satisfaction. Dopamine neurons light up in response to small, predictable rewards, creating a feedback loop that hijacks your motivation. Meanwhile, the parts of your brain responsible for planning and self-control fire less reliably, especially under stress or fatigue. Imagine a GPS that defaults to the shortest route without considering traffic jams. It may get you somewhere fast, but rarely where you intended to go. That's what your impulsive brain does every time you choose a quick fix over meaningful progress. But understanding these mechanisms isn't a dead end. It's the starting point for change. By recognizing that procrastination is not a character flaw, but a natural byproduct of ancient neural wiring, you can begin to rewire your own circuits. In the next section, we'll explore why stress and perfectionism amplify this imbalance and how simple mental exercises can boost your prefrontal cortex's influence, giving you the upper hand in that internal tug of war. Under pressure, your brain's stress response floods you with cortisol, which hijacks your prefrontal cortex and hands the reins to your primitive limbic system. Imagine a cruise ship caught in a sudden storm, its captain thrown from the helm while the waves of immediate emotion steer you towards safe harbors of distraction. Perfectionism only adds fuel to this fire. By setting unrealistically high standards, you create a fear of failure so intense that any attempt at progress feels like walking a tightrope over a chasm. Picture an Olympic diver frozen on the platform, convinced a single misstep will cost them everything. So rather than leap, they step back. This cocktail of stress and self-imposed pressure narrows your mental spotlight to worst-case scenarios, making every task look dangerously complex and driving you instinctively toward low-effort, high-reward activities like scrolling news feeds or reorganizing your desk drawers. Research shows that chronic stress actually weakens the neural connections in your prefrontal cortex responsible for planning and impulse control, while activating the amygdala's fight-or-flight circuitry, which thrives on quick gratification. At the same time, perfectionism triggers what psychologists call analysis paralysis, where overthinking and fear of mistakes create a loop that keeps you from even starting. Acknowledging these forces is the first step, because when you understand that procrastination isn't laziness but a survival tactic gone awry, you shift from self-blame to self-empowerment. Now that you've seen how stress and perfectionism tip the scales against your long-term goals, it's time to reclaim the helm. In the next section, you'll get a neuroscience-backed toolkit, simple mental exercises, practical habit hacks, and mindful strategies to reactivate your prefrontal cortex, disrupt impulsive loops, and finally turn intention into action. Now it's time to equip you with your personal toolkit for rewiring your brain and defeating procrastination at its source. First, harness the power of implementation intentions by turning vague goals into clear if-then plans. For example, if it is 9 a.m., then I will work on the first section of my report for 15 minutes. By specifying the when, where, and what, you program your prefrontal cortex to trigger action automatically, bypassing that moment of indecision when you're tempted to click away. Second, use micro-commitments. Break large projects into the smallest possible steps. A single sentence, a sketch of an idea, a 1-minute brain dump, and celebrate each tiny victory with a brief pause or a self-high five. These small wins flood your dopamine system with immediate feedback, retraining your brain to associate progress with reward. Third, redesign your environment to minimize friction. Clear distractions from your workspace, turn off notifications, or even use simple website blockers during focus windows. Think of your environment as a gentle guide, like walls that funnel you toward your goal rather than a maze full of detours. Fourth, practice mental contrasting combined with WOOP, wish, outcome, obstacle, plan. Imagine your desired outcome vividly, identify the inner obstacle, perhaps fear of failure or boredom, and then articulate a concrete plan to overcome it. This exercise recruits your prefrontal cortex and strengthens the neural pathways that regulate motivation. Fifth, integrate brief mindfulness or breathing breaks between work intervals to reset stress hormones and restore executive control. Just 2 minutes of focused breathing can calm your amygdala's alarm bells and re-engage your higher-order thinking. Finally, build a simple habit tracker and reward system. Assign yourself 1 point for every completed microtask and treat yourself to a small but meaningful prize when you reach 5 points. A favorite snack, a walk outside, or 5 minutes of guilt-free scrolling. Over time, this structured reward schedule rebalances the scales between immediate and delayed gratification, helping your long-term goals shine brighter than the pull of short-term comforts. With these neuroscience-backed techniques, implementation intentions, micro-commitments, environment design, WOOP, mindfulness breaks, and a dopamine-friendly reward system, you're rewriting the autopilot settings of your mind and turning intention into action. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into sustaining these habits and cultivating a mindset that welcomes challenge rather than running from it. To sustain these new habits, start by adopting a growth mindset, as described by psychologist Carol Dweck. View setbacks not as proof of failure, but as valuable feedback that refines your approach. When you miss a planned work session, resist the urge to shame yourself. Instead ask, what did I learn about my triggers, and how can I adjust my plan? This simple reframing shifts your brain away from the fight-or-flight reaction of self-criticism into a curiosity-driven process that strengthens your prefrontal control. Next, enlist social accountability by sharing your micro-commitments with a trusted friend or online community. Having someone check in on your progress amplifies the release of oxytocin, which boosts your motivation to follow through. Add a short weekly review ritual. Spend 5 minutes at the end of each week noting which strategies worked, which didn't, and one small tweak to try next week, so that your brain learns to anticipate progress rather than dread tasks. Over time, these rituals wire your neural pathways to expect and reward proactive behavior, reducing the friction that once made every project feel like pushing a boulder uphill. Finally, practice self-compassion with a brief daily affirmation, such as "I am capable of focus and growth," to counteract the amygdala's alarm signals and reinforce your belief in change. Think of these practices as tending a garden. You plant seeds with implementation intentions and micro-commitments, water them with mindful breaks and reward systems, and nurture them through reflection and kindness toward yourself. Eventually, the weeds of distraction lose their grip, and your projects grow effortlessly. Now, with your neural toolkit in hand and a mindset tuned for continuous improvement, you're ready to leave procrastination behind and step confidently into a life shaped by intention and purposeful action. In our final segment, we'll tie everything together and ensure you have a clear path forward to apply these insights every day. Now that you have a clear map of how procrastination works in your brain and a toolkit of neuroscience-backed strategies to counter it, it's time to weave these insights into your everyday routine and transform intention into effortless action. Begin each morning by reviewing your top 3 wishes for the day, then form implementation intentions that tie each wish to a precise time and location. Use micro-commitments to chip away at your tasks in 2-minute increments, rewarding each step with a brief pause or self-affirmation. When stress or doubt creeps in, pause for one mindful breath to calm your amygdala and remind yourself that every mistake is simply a data point for growth. At week's end, reflect honestly on your wins and hurdles, adjust your WOOP plan, and share your progress with a friend to reinforce accountability and oxytocin-driven motivation. Over the coming weeks, you'll notice that what once felt like an uphill battle against distraction evolves into a rhythm of steady, focused effort. Your prefrontal cortex strengthened, your dopamine system reoriented toward meaningful goals, and your life steered by deliberate choices rather than fleeting impulses. Remember, breaking free from procrastination is not a one-time fix but a lifelong skill that flourishes through curiosity, self-compassion, and small, consistent actions. If you found this video helpful, hit like to let us know, share it with someone who needs a boost in motivation, and subscribe to Mind Unlocked for more practical psychology and philosophy tools to expand your mind and live intentionally. Your journey toward a more focused, fulfilled life starts now. Let's unlock it together.